Ok, viajeros, ¿cómo están? ¿Cómo están? Buenas tardes, creo que ya estamos en vivo. Sí, listo, estamos completamente en vivo, viajeros. El día de hoy ha salido un juego que ya llevo 9 años esperando. Bueno, no 9 años, porque que me habrán enterado como un poco después. Tal vez unos 8 o 7 años esperando este título. No recuerdo hace cuánto tiempo se informó que iba a haber una como remasterización, pero no es que sea una remasterización porque le agregaron más contenido, por eso es la versión Ultra Deluxe. Bueno, el punto es que llegó una nueva versión el día de hoy. Está disponible, si no me equivoco, en todas las plataformas. En nuestro caso lo vamos a jugar en la computadora. Y bueno, lo que tiene interesante este juego es que justo es un título de toma de decisiones. Lo que vayamos decidiendo nos va a llevar a distintos finales. Entonces creo que por un lado eso va a ser interesante. Déjenme, me pongo aquí en mi celular para poder estar viendo los mensajes que escriben en el chat. Yo lo voy a tener en pantalla completa. Entonces, pues bueno, si quieren que tome alguna decisión específica, avísenme en el chat. Y ahí estaremos viendo juntos. Insisto, esta es la primera vez que lo juego, esta nueva reedición. Entonces, bueno, vamos a ver qué finales descubrimos el día de hoy. Entonces, dicho lo anterior, me voy a hacer pequeño de este lado y de este lado para tener obviamente el juego en pantalla completa. Quiero hacer mención rápida de un detalle que se me hizo muy interesante. Obviamente yo tuve que abrir el juego antes para setearlo. Y hubo un punto donde te pedía que pusieras la hora. Entonces, bueno, puse la hora, puse las 3. Y por alguna configuración lo tuve que cerrar y lo volví a abrir ahorita rápido y me volvió a pedir la hora. Volví a poner 3-1, ¿no? 3-2. Y el juego me dijo, bueno, muchas gracias por tomarte el tiempo de poner 2 veces la hora. Porque, bueno, por lo general las personas no se toman el tiempo en esto y ponen así cualquier hora por definición. Entonces, quiero agradecerte de que te estás tomando el juego en serio. Obviamente me lo iba a tomar en serio. Y bueno, también me decía, la próxima vez que inicies sesión en el juego, pon la hora que quieras. Te lo has ganado. Eso fue lo que me pasó en estos inicios de juego. Pero no dicho lo anterior, vamos a darle directo al juego. Insisto, este es mi primer gameplay de esta nueva versión, que es de Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Ya está seteado todo, lo único que hace falta es darle iniciar. Entonces, dicho lo anterior, estamos con el juego. Déjenme, quiero escuchar cómo se escucha la música. Ok, listo, se escucha ahí el juego perfecto. Vamos a darle. Recuerden, the end is never the end.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor.
Eso se ha mantenido muy similar a lo que era el primer juego.
To push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
Every day of every month.
Although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Prácticamente esa es como la premisa, ¿no?
And then one day,
eres un empleado que siempre hacía lo
something
mismo.
That would forever change Stanley.
Esto es nuevo.
Something he would never quite forget.
Esto es nuevo.
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow.
No es nuevo.
No
sigue
one
siendo
had
lo
showed
mismo.
up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this
Esa es la parte
happened,
interesante
this
porque tiene como una
complete
trama
isolation.
rara en la cual tenemos que descubrir qué es lo que está pasando.
Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok. Antes que nada voy a hacer una pequeña pausa porque acabo de darme cuenta de un pequeño detalle. No es el empleado 127, es el empleado 427. Listo. Ya, nada más había que corregir ese typo en el título del video. He dicho lo anterior, volvemos. Volvemos. Eso ya tenía tiempo que no jugaba a este título, que lo interesante es que dependiendo de lo que hagamos, nos va a llevar a distintos caminos. Por ejemplo, si no me equivoco, había... Ok, ahí está. Aquí había algo interesante porque se supone que te piden exacto salir. Es un empleado que siempre hace lo mismo. No hay mucho que hacer. Pero ¿qué pasaba si literalmente al inicio, en vez de salir, cerrabas la puerta? Ese era un final. Vamos a desbloquear ese final.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility?
Exactamente.
He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell.
Okay.
But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Here it comes. Y así reinicia. Ese fue un final. Ese fue un final. Se puede decir que ya lo terminé. No sé, ojo, qué pasa si lo hago 2 veces seguidas.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure.
Nada, creo que fue lo mismo.
What if a crucial outcome fell under his
Es que hay veces en las que, por ejemplo, como lo de la hora, que cuando yo lo vuelves a hacer una segunda vez, el juego como que lo toma en cuenta. Aquí parece ser que no hubo nada más. Otra vez mismos textos, y no hay manera de que me esquipe todo esto. No. GG. Bueno, vamos a picar botones. Tampoco hay mucho que hacer. El gameplay es muy sencillo, es prácticamente moverte. De hecho, no puedes ni brincar. Ahorita estaba tratando con barras espaciadoras y podías, pero no. Solo es moverte y seleccionar. Toma decisiones. Por ejemplo, ahorita ya que avancemos, hay como un camino en el cual tú tienes que decidir hacia qué lado quieres ir. Entonces, bueno, aquí. Corre. Ok, ahí va. Vamos arriba. Vamos de nuevo, ya terminamos 2 veces con el mismo final. Ya vimos que no hay nada. Y recuerden, yo puse la hora y no se puso la hora que yo seté al inicio. Entonces, literalmente el juego nos trolea del inicio con la hora. Porque incluso el mismo desarrollador, bueno, la voz. Bueno, en este caso no fue la voz, fue en texto. Decía eso, o sea, ni siquiera el juego se puede dar cuenta de si sí puse la hora exacta. Entonces, nada, se me hizo gracioso eso. Ok, estamos de nuevo aquí. Hemos vuelto. Esto es lo interesante que tiene el juego. Un oficinista de repente se levanta porque no le dicen lo que tiene que hacer y no hay nadie en el edificio. Y ahí es donde empieza como esta historia de querer saber qué pasa, qué hay. Y por más que piques y selecciones cosas, no hay como mucho que hacer. Y lo interesante es justo esta voz que es el narrador, que es como muy emblemática del título, que va diciendo las cosas y de repente tú te peleas con el narrador y eso.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office.
Exactamente.
It didn't make a single difference.
Ahora,
Nor
en el
did it
juego
advance
inicial
the story in any
había,
way.
¿qué les parece? Como unas 15 finales diferentes dependiendo de hacia dónde fueras. Aquí me pregunto cuánto más lo habrán expandido. Por el momento, mismas puertas. No encuentro... Ok. Nada del otro mundo. Ok, nada. Los cuadros, la neta, no me acuerdo si son iguales, pero... el lugar me parece muy similar. Ok. Sí, creo que puedes apagar las compus. Ok, vamos a apagar todas las... En el otro lado dejé compus prendidas. Déjenme reviso. Quiero apagar todo. Ok, compus apagadas. Listo, aquí no hay compus prendidas. Bien. Vamos a apagar todas las computadoras. No sé si eso sirva de algo, la verdad. Ok. Una oficina pues, muy normal. Ok. Input received. Ok. Esa no me dejó apagarla, nada más cambió ahí. Uy. Apagado ahí. Apagado. Creo que ya fueron todas. Y todas. Y esa se quedó así. Listo. Avancemos. Interesante también como los pequeños detalles, ¿no? I hate Mondays. Literalmente una oficina aburrida, normal. Ok. ¿Y ahí qué dice? ¿Él? ¿Le? Ok, no tengo ni idea. Vamos arriba, vamos a darle. Si no me equivoco, ahorita viene la primer decisión. Aquí está. Aquí está. El narrador me dice que en esta decisión, en este caso Stanley, o sea nosotros, el jugador, se va hacia la puerta de la derecha. A los que me están viendo yo les preguntaría, ¿qué opinan? ¿Nos vamos a la derecha? ¿Nos vamos a la izquierda? Y aquí es donde se pone interesante el juego porque te va decidiendo, o sea, tú vas decidiendo qué hacer y obviamente dependiendo de hacia dónde vayas van pasando cosas diferentes. Entonces, podemos hacerle caso al narrador o desde el inicio, desde la primer round, desafiarlo. Yo creo que es momento de desafiar, ¿no? Vamos a desafiar al narrador. Y ya, obviamente no puedes deshacer esa decisión. Listo. Ok.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Okay.
Feeling a wave of
¿Sí me fui
disbelief,
hacia la
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office.
Creo que sí me fui bien, ¿no?
hoping he
Hacia la
might
izquierda.
find
Bueno,
an
ahí
answer there.
no puse mucha atención, me distraje mientras hablaba. Ok, nada por aquí. How to solve... Ok. Es interesante todos los detallitos que hay escritos. Ah, el cuarto de servicio. Creo que aquí también había como
Stanley
un final.
stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Eso es lo que él dice. Pero ¿qué pasa si nos quedamos aquí? Literal. Van a ver como el narrador...
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Creo que eso es lo interesante. Retar al narrador.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Y esta es la magia de este juego, ¿no? De que va interactuando con lo que prácticamente vas haciendo, aunque sea una decisión muy mala.
Still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Me encanta todo lo que dice. Obviamente llega un momento donde ya como que se traba, ya no hay más, ¿no?
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance
la más
to
mínima
the story
importancia de la historia.
whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Y ahí seguimos. O sea, hacer enojar al narrador
Maybe to you this is somehow
es de las
its
cosas más
own branching
interesantes.
path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite."
Ese final fue mi
I hope
favorito.
your friends find this confusing.
Cuando estén con sus amigos y les digan, sí, mi final favorito fue el del armario.
Really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Vaya, no me esperaba que me dijera todas esas cosas, ¿eh? Ok.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead.
Se puso muy agresivo.
Explored a bit, and we're just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system, and you collapsed on
Estoy
the
llorando
keyboard.
de la risa.
Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose.
Ay,
Hello?
me hizo llorar.
Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming,
me hizo llorar,
so
en
that
serio.
the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Ok. Como les decía, esto es lo interesante. Ver cómo de repente decisiones que creías que no tenían sentido, como quedarte parado en el cuarto de servicio y el narrador fuera narrando eso, se me hacía muy hilarante, muy gracioso. Y creo que lo hayan mantenido, me gusta. Obviamente, como les dije, llega todo donde hay un fin. De aquí definitivamente no había nada, como lo decía, no hay nada que interactuar. Y pues como dijo, una vez que terminarán con el cuerpo, salgan. Listo.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? Ojo, ¿qué pasa si vuelvo al cuarto de servicio?
You too. Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of insects. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Ok, no recordaba si había como este comentario ha sido si volví a entrar. Parece que sí. Vamos a avanzar la historia, ¿no? Ya fue, me hizo llorar. Neta, eso es lo que me gusta de estos juegos. Sí, creo que ya fue mucho lujo con el cuarto de servicio, ¿no? Podemos continuar. Eso no fue ni siquiera un final. Ahora, creo que...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
Exacto,
office.
el narrador nos dice, el jugador se fue directamente a la parte de arriba, a la sala de su jefe. Pues bueno, vamos a desafiarlo. Creo que hace rato lo que traté de desafiar, pero no me dejó el juego. O me equivoqué. Bueno, ahora sí vamos a desafiar, vamos hacia abajo. Él dijo arriba, nosotros vamos abajo. Ok, por aquí no hay nada.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
Eso fue
Why
interesante.
did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
¿Qué está pasando?
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
¿Qué tratas?
Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the
Wow,
ground.
neta me hizo volar.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield.
No!
And it too appeared. It was so much fun. And
Wow.
Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up.
Que
How
está...
was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered
está
Stanley's head.
pasando?
One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Ok.
Now the voice was describing itself.
Y aquí es
being
cuando el
considered
juego
by
se pone
Stanley,
raro.
who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my
al mismo
thoughts. he
estacionamiento, ¿vieron?
thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams,
Mismo
the
estacionamiento.
truth
Estoy en
was
un
that,
loop.
of course,
¿Ah, no?
this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself?
1, 2,
Stanley
vea.
is as awake right now
Me
as
pregunto
he's
si
ever
estos
been in
horarios
his
me los tengo
life.
que aprender para algo.
Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock
1,
to
2,
Stanley.
vea.
After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
Estamos en un loop.
So he closed
Nos
his
atrapó.
eyes gently, and he invited himself
No!
to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin,
Okay.
the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of the world outside this one.
Ok, es una trampa venir hacia abajo.
Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream.
Lo más que
I
vi fue
wish it
1,
to be
2,
over.
vea.
Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want.
Please.
I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
Ok,
I am okay.
ok. Sí, desperté. Ok, pensé que neta, me había regresado.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake
Esto es
me
nuevo.
up. My name is Stanley.
Esto es
I
nuevo.
have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just
What?
someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone
1, 2,
hear my
vea.
voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
¡No! Ok, no sé qué está pasando. Ya, ahí lo
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She
Mariella.
rose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But
Eso
on
no
this
es nuevo.
particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming.
Creo que
to
esto sí era
himself,
igual que el otro,
and then
¿eh?
collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better.
Ok.
But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Y volvemos. Creo que ese fue un final. Al momento, creo que no he visto nada del otro mundo. Ya llevamos, que 2 finales. Bueno, el del armario no sé si puedo
All of his co-workers were gone.
considerarlo
What
como
could
un
it
final.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ok, volvemos. Apaguemos compus. Insisto, no sé si... ¿Vieron cómo cambiaron? La compu del input era esta, ¿se acuerdan? Ok. Apagamos computadoras, nada del otro mundo. Ok. Cerrada.
When Stanley came to a set of
Sí,
two open doors,
cruzó la de su
he
izquierda.
entered the door on his
La vez
left.
pasada igual le hice caso. Ahora, si no me equivoco, hay uno de mis finales favoritos de este juego. Vamos a ver si lo puedo conseguir. Era...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and
Era
Stanley
así.
knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ok. Por acá, si no me equivoco, era uno de mis finales favoritos antes. Vamos a ver si lo mantuvieron. Tengo mucha curiosidad. Ok. Vean, 4B9. Nada. Ok. Esto sigue igual.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few
Okay,
moments
nada por
here in
ahí.
this immaculate, beautifully constructed room.
Nada.
Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Nada. Ok, aquí no hay nada. Vamos hacia el final, que considero
But
que es
eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Él quiere que vaya hacia la izquierda. Creo que no era hacia la izquierda. ¿O sí? No me acuerdo. Me veo. No, es para acá. Para acá es el final que les digo que es de mis favoritos. ¿Sí?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ok. Sí, es para acá. También es un final difícil de conseguir, porque no a todos se les ocurre esta idea, a menos que sigas una guía. Entonces, este era de mis favoritos. Vean esto. Warning, no brincar fuera del tranvía, de esta cosa de carga, porque si no te puedes caer. Y eso te causaría la muerte. Obviamente si me aviento me muero, pero chéquense, aquí está el truco. Si se dan cuenta, este elevador nos va a llevar hacia la parte de allá arriba. Pero hay como unas escaleras ahí en medio, bueno, como un pasillo ahí en medio. Hacia ahí está la trama de la historia que a mí me gusta más. Vamos a ver.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Ahí va.
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult.
Vean cómo rompo
but
su
the fact
confianza.
is that the story is...
¡No, me equivoqué!
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Ok, me equivoqué.
Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Vamos desde arriba. Pero era hacia ahí. Ah, miren. Ya me adelantó literalmente a las decisiones.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Vamos a volverlo a intentar.
Wow. Yes. This room. What a beautiful room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nope, todo derecho. Vamos a hacer lo que les dije.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ok, vamos.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Tengo que atinarle exacto. Igual si no es para allá, creo que...
I realize that investing your trust in someone else
como no
can be
puedes
difficult,
brincar,
but the fact is that the story has been
que
about
llegue hasta lo
nothing
más arriba
but
que se
you
pueda.
all this
Ahí.
time.
Ahí está.
Really?
Ahí está.
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others?
Okay,
Are you
hacia acá creo
that
que no se puede
convinced that I
pasar.
want something bad to happen to you?
Okay.
Why,
Listo.
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
Insisto.
Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your
Hacia
side.
aquí es uno de mis
Give me a
finales
chance.
favoritos. Ok. Danger everywhere. Vamos a ver si lo mantuvieron o lo cambiaron. Ahorita les digo. Es que tiene mucho que no juego, entonces no me acuerdo exactamente si va igual. Pero estoy seguro que es hacia aquí. ¿Qué dice? Pass this point. No buckets. Ok.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ah, ok. Literalmente me obliga. ¿Rojo o azul? Él dijo que fuera el rojo. Vamos al azul.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
¿Ven cómo a fuerzas quiere que hagas lo que él quiere? No, quiero el azul. ¡Azul! Ok, ya no me regresó. Bien.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
¿A qué puerta deberíamos ir? ¿A la roja o al azul? Ok, vamos a ver a la blanca, si me deja abrirla. Que no. Vamos de nuevo al azul. Adiós.
All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out
Sí.
there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Ok, aquí vamos bien, vamos. No, este no es el final.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place.
Okay.
Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles?
Sí, este es el final.
Skill
Creo que este es el final. Creo que este es el final que a mí me gusta.
You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some
feedback. De un
feedback.
juego nos va a llevar...
There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
¿Qué opinen? ¿Probamos la puerta nueva? No me acuerdo. ¿Saben qué? Hagámosle caso. Puerta nueva, la tercera opción. Siempre hay una tercera opción.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest.
Okay.
I'm looking for some real critical
Creo que
feedback
aquí
here.
aún no he tenido nuevas, nuevas versiones. Vamos a picarle uno.
A one? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a one?
Sí.
That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
¿En serio? Uy. Ok. Esto es interesante. Un dashboard de las decisiones que han tomado. Ok. Y aquí literalmente son jugadores. Supongo. Ok. O no sé. Okay. Only the worst 3% of players choose la puerta azul. Ok. Ok. Datos tal vez un poco absurdos. Stanley is online. Ok. Vamos de nuevo hacia la naranja.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through
Debo aceptar
doors?
que fue mejor.
Again, honest answers, please.
Pero le voy a dar un 2.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting.
Okay.
You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you?
Nope.
Perfect.
Venga.
Let me boot it up.
Okay.
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger.
Okay.
You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful
¿Salvamos al bebé
all
o no?
about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Si no pico el botón, el bebé se va a quemar.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over.
Desesperando
Thank you for playing. Your
al
input was
narrador.
extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game?
Sí,
Just to ease the pain.
esta era mi versión final.
What do we have here?
Mi final favorito. Porque aquí lo desesperas
Yes.
y te
Seems
cambia
like
el
it'll
juego.
work. Let's give it a shot.
Ahorita verán a qué me refiero con que nos cambia el juego.
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley?
Wow.
What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower.
Wow.
Perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Ok, estoy sorprendido. En la versión pasada nos llevaba a Minecraft. Este juego, si no me equivoco, es un juego de mundo abierto que está en Steam. Ahorita se me fue el nombre, pero bueno, eso literalmente es otro juego y no es Minecraft. Entonces, ok, debo aceptar que esto es lo primero nuevo que acabo de encontrar. Estoy completamente sorprendido. Completamente sorprendido en estos momentos. Si no me equivoco, este juego es de supervivencia y la naturaleza. Pues vamos a ver a dónde nos lleva. Esto sí fue nuevo. Era mi versión favorita de juego y nos ha llevado a otro juego. Ya no estamos... Ay, pensé que me iba a caer. Ya no estamos jugando Stanley Parable. Ok. Acá había unos tanques, ¿no? Vamos a ver. Literal no puedo hacer nada, está bloqueado, ok. Estoy sorprendido. No fue Minecraft, fue otro juego. Bien, bien, me gusta. Vamos a investigar este juego. A ver qué encontramos. La verdad es que esto es nuevo. Estamos jugando.
Oh, no. No,
¿Qué?
it can't be.
¿Me va a dejar neta moverme para donde yo quiera? Ok. ¿Sí?
It is. It's an open world game.
Exacto.
Good God, quickly block it off.
¡No!
Oh,
Fuck.
thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call.
¡No!
You wandered off into that thing.
Sí,
that
de
big,
hecho.
open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any...
Sí.
Oh, thank heavens we avoided it.
Uf.
We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
¿En serio?
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Ok, ¿eso fue nuevo? What?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just
Rocket
a nice
League?
big box for you to run around in.
Okay.
There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Ok, pero necesito un coche, ¿no? Para jugar Rocket League.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's
Necesitamos
see.
un coche. Déjame
There are
subir.
lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here.
Azul o
Is
rojo,
this
azul o
game
rojo.
sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must.
Okay.
Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
¿En serio? ¡Sí! Y me dejó correr, Vamos a meterle al azul. ¡Sí! Rocket, estamos jugando Stanley Parable Rocket League. Ok. Cuando crees que los juegos independientes no te pueden sorprender,
Are
lo
you
hacen.
doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun?
Sí.
Is it better than my miserable
Sí.
little story that I worked so hard
Sí,
on?
y voy a meter punto.
Stanley, I have a thought, and I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount... Hold on, what are you doing?
¡Me caí!
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that.
Ok. No esperaba caerme. O sea, el punto era meter el gol. Uy, me volví a caer. Ups. Oh, ok. Ok. Ahora tenemos una versión tipo de terror de Stanley Parable. ¿Hacia dónde tengo que ir? No tengo ni idea. Ok. Creo que para aquí no. Ok. Bueno. Sabemos que para ahí no. Me pregunto a dónde nos llevará el juego. Ok. 508. ¿Es para acá? Ah, esa es la decisión, ¿no? De las dos puertas. Ok. Creo que ya encontré el camino. Estamos volviendo. Es como la versión oscura de donde estábamos. Ok. 427. Volví a mi cuarto. Pero como en otro lado. Ok. Es como un control room. Ok. ¿Se fue la luz?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now.
Exacto.
I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me.
He needs me.
Someone who will wrap everything up at the end to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am.
That's who I am.
That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back.
Then I'll be back.
The end will be here soon. Very soon.
Very soon. Ok.
I can wait.
Ok. No me puedo mover. No veo nada. Oh. Ok. Esa es una de mis versiones favoritas. Insisto, en el otro era Minecraft el juego al que llegábamos. O sea, siempre la lógica de llegar a otro título a mí me gustaba
Stanley
muchísimo.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ok. Compu apagada. Creo que ahora sí están todas apagadas. Listo. Ok. Uy. ¡Wow! ¡Wow! New content. Obviamente.
Oh, new content? What does that mean? New content.
No sé, pero suena genial. Ok, bien. Cosas nuevas. Ok. Un carrito. Ok. ¿A dónde estamos yendo? ¿Esto es nuevo?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
Justo.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable
9 años,
Ultra
tuvieron que
Deluxe,
pasar 9
a
años.
reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Ok.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
¿Cuál es el
Oh, well,
contenido
this
nuevo?
sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra
Bueno,
Deluxe
ya
content.
llegamos, insisto, a un nuevo juego. Entonces, a dos, bueno, a Rocket League y el otro que no me acuerdo cómo se llama.
Okay, so far it's an elevator.
Y ahora estamos en un
Nothing
elevador que
special
nos va a
yet,
llevar
but I'm
al
sure
nuevo
it's
contenido.
just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Esto suena más, o sea, suena bien, pero conociendo el título, seguramente no me va a sorprender nada.
Is it broken?
Vean.
What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right,
Okay.
finally, at long last, it's on to the new content.
Okay.
I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Sí. Nuevo contenido, por favor. ¿Qué habrá? ¿Más juegos nuevos? ¿Decisiones?
I have to say,
O sea,
initial
una broma.
impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the
Sí.
content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Ok. Give me the content. Vamos a ver este contenido nuevo de esta nueva versión que es... ¿Qué? ¿Qué dice?
All right. All right,
¿El
let's see.
círculo de salto?
The jump circle.
¿Me va a dejar brincar al fin? No es cierto. Al fin puedes brincar en el juego. Y... obviamente voy a brincar todas las que dice ahí. Ya me aburrí. ¿Afuera no puedes brincar? ¿Ya no me deja brincar más? Ok. No esperaba eso. Bloqueó los brincos. No me digas que eso es el nuevo contenido.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the
Sí,
new
exacto.
content. There has to be something else, right?
Ok.
Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something
Ya tuvimos
else.
brincos.
Let's see it.
Vamos a ver qué hay aquí.
Whatever it is.
Ok. Un pasillo. Un lugar al que no me puedo caer. Y... ¿Qué?
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
No.
You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the
¿Qué?
game?
No puede ser
and
que
we'll
ese sea el
try to
contenido
get back
nuevo.
to what the Stanley Parable is really about.
No.
No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always.
No.
What do you say, friend?
No. Ugh. No me dejó ni decidir. Ok. Fue una trampa. Bueno, esto sí es nuevo. Esto sí es nuevo. Igual y si hablaba en serio. Solo que ahora está más... ¡raro! Hay una imagen de... donde empezabas, pero ahora empiezas de una manera diferente. Esto es nuevo.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Ok, esto es totalmente nuevo. Podría irme para allá o... Vamos a seguir. No sé qué me quiere mostrar. Quiero ver a dónde me va a llevar. No sé si confiar en él o no, pero bueno, ya estamos aquí. Ya avanzamos hasta aquí, así que vamos arriba. Vamos a ver qué encontramos. ¿Será Minecraft o a dónde llegaremos?
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be.
Correcto.
So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret.
¿Qué hay?
Take a look.
¿Qué hay? ¿Qué hay? ¿Qué hay? ¿Qué hay? Ok. Una puerta. El del ring. Ok, debo aceptar que esto se ve muy bien. No sé qué sea. Ok.
I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
¿Qué? Ok, no puedo saltarme hacia ningún lado. Hay que ir a fuerzas a la casa. Teléfonos, cosas, ok. Dice Memory Zone, ok. What?
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release?
Muy a lo Full Metal
Remember
Alchemist.
back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched?
Okay.
Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
All of waste. Ok, todos los premios que ganó. Wow. Good times. Buenos momentos. Todo lo que sea del otro. Ok, en memoria. Ok. Your first kiss, my first car. The release of the Stanley Parable. Ok. Ok. ¿En serio solo son recuerdos? Smile. Because it happened. Ok, su primer dólar. ¿Qué dice? Demonstration, ok. Go outside, don't play 5 years. It is impossible to get this achievement, ok. What? Nominado, aquí están a los premios a los que fue nominado el juego. Y los años, ¿no? El 12 de marzo del 2014, creo que es lo mismo para los premios BAFTA. Por historia, por juego que debuta y por innovación en juego. Sí, la verdad es que fue muy interesante. New video game released today, The New York Times. No recuerdo si el New York Times habló de esto. Esto creo que ya se lo está inventando. Los Angeles Times. Ok. Me dejó salir. En Loving Memory, Little Stanley. No, se murió su cuyo por lo visto. Y su cuyo se llamaba Stanley. No. Bueno, esto sí es lo más triste que me he encontrado. El pequeño Stanley. Que se ha recordado. Ok. Neta me va a poner música así de... Ok. Okay.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now, a lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Una hora de contenido sensor, ¿no? Stanley Parable, el guión. Ok, seguimos encerrados en esta casa. Hacia abajo, hacia allá, hacia abajo. Ok. Fire. Nada. La primera decisión. The Original Remake. The Stanley Parable, persona del año, ok. Los botones. Ok. Las decisiones de las puertas, el coche. Que la Mac. The end is never the end. The greatest world in memory, ok. Nada. No recuerdo la verdad si salió una edición física o no de Stanley. Ok. Según yo solo era digital. Ok. Su primera bicicleta, ¿qué es esto? Preparing snake oil. Ok. No sé.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone.
GameSpot.
To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Ok. Follow Caroline. Petit Staff. Super P. The Stanley Parable feels alive. Ok. Y ahora... Creo como el juego nada más me está obligando a ir The Serious Room. Y aquí obviamente no podemos ir.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
Okay. Ahora sí está abierto por acá abajo.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before.
Okay.
What's this? What's down here?
dónde estamos llegando? Otra vez otro
Oh
juego.
no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here.
Reseñas
Surely
de
these
Steam.
reviews were
Esto
going
puede ser
well, weren't
interesante. Vamos a ver qué encontramos. Ok, aquí no lo recomienda.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
¿Izquierda o derecha? Izquierda. Igual debe estar cerrado por acá si no hay nada que hacer. Ok, derecha. Ok. Parece que solo hay un camino. Vamos a seguirlo. A ver qué encontramos. Ok. Nada. Otra reseña.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me.
Okay.
I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record.
Okay.
I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
¿A dónde estamos llegando? Órale. Reviews, ok. Esto sí está muy abstracto. El mar. No sé, ¿no?
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Okay. Al agua no me dejaba ir. Listo. Un botón de skip, ok.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on.
Adiós.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary...
Ah, sí lo pude escopiar.
Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there.
Obviamente lo
I
va a
don't
volver
know
a
why the
picar.
skips are getting longer, but they're Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. I have someone to
Vean
talk
cuánto
to
tiempo
again.
ha pasado.
Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
Adiós. Ok, y ahora...
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again.
Okay.
Welcome.
I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been
Que esto
through.
explica
I've
como
had
cuánto
so
tiempo ha
much
pasado.
time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down
Ya
in
no
one
veo
place
nada.
and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with,
Adiós. ¿Ya? ¿Ya no está? Ok. Puedo picarle de nuevo, pero pues ya no está. ¿Me dejarán salir o habrá una puerta? Nada. Ok, vamos a picar de nuevo el botón. Ok. Ok. Adiós sonido. No sé qué era.
but they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition.
Wow, se
But
cayó
where
el
are the
reloj.
jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, enter.
Adiós. Ok. Ya se cayó el reloj, se cayó todo. Me pregunto si habrá... Ah, no hay una puerta. Ok, no hay nada. Solo picar de nuevo el botón, ok. Ok.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is
¿Neta se va a pasar diciendo eso?
never the end, is never the end,
Sí.
is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Adiós. Ok. Ya me desespero este botón. Necesito más cosas, por favor. Una puerta. Ok, está lloviendo. Bueno, mínimo ya hubo algo nuevo. Ok. Wow. Cómo pasa el tiempo, ¿no? Mientras estamos skipeando. Ok. Ok, esto es como que está pasando mucho tiempo. Ok. Pero sigo sin poder salir de aquí. Ok. En serio. Ok. ¿Y puedo escaparme o algo? ¿O no? Ok. Me pregunto si crecerá un árbol gigante que me dejará salir. No. Ok. Ok. Se arrepintió. Ok, listo. Ok. Botón. Ok. Ok, botón de nuevo. Que está... al fin. Esperen, el botón volverá. Yo creo que ya no, ¿no? Ya hay salida. El botón ya no volvió. Ok. Y para la parte de atrás no hay nada. Bueno. Nos dejan al fin volver a la libertad. Vamos a darle. Ok, este es otro juego. Ok. Bueno. Es como si se hubiera destruido donde estábamos. Vamos a investigar. Okay. Allá en el fondo tiene que haber algo. Vamos a darle. En las montañas. No puedo correr. Pero podría seguir las piedras estas. ¿Será como un camino? Ok, creo que no. The end is never the end. Ya no hay más piedritas, ok. Ok. ¿Volvimos?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
The end is never
Stanley
the end.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The end is never
No
the
matter
end.
how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his
El
co-workers.
final nunca es el final. Es que es como la premisa del juego, que te regresa, te regresa, te regresa, te regresa. Ok. New content. ¿Le creeremos al nuevo contenido? Vamos a intentar.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Veamos si es cierto. De nuevo. Ok. Vamos a teletransportarnos de nuevo a ver qué encontramos. Ok, me esquipió toda esta parte. New content, ok. El elevador de nuevo.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this Ultra Deluxe version has turned out to be.
Okay.
The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this Ultra Deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
What? Okay.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
¿En serio? Ok, no me esperaba esto. Seguramente nos está troleando.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there.
Okay.
It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Ok. Sí, no, nos está troleando el juego. Just the two of us, we can make it, we try. Just the two of us, we can. Just the two of us, just the two of us building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I. Okay. Ok, todo esto que estoy haciendo ahorita es totalmente nuevo. No estaba en el juego 1. Ok, hay un concept art. New content is out. New content parte 2 is in. Warning section of the chart. Cool red section of the chart. New hotness. They're back. The doors. Han vuelto las puertas. Insisto, esa es la primera decisión que hay en el juego. More better padding shift, blah blah blah. The color red, the overcome value. Okay, win-win. Okay.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it.
Okay.
I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Years. Who took me the red marker? Me. Ok. Nada por aquí. Sequels are good. Ah, secuelas que fueron buenas. Portal 2, Half-Life, Batman Arkham Asylum, Divinity Original Sin, ok. Divinity no lo he jugado, tengo ganas. Aladdin, Dark Souls, ok. 2. Ok. The prequel to the Stanley Parable. 2 is the sequel to the Stanley Parable, is the sequel prequel to the Stanley Parable 2. Ok, son concept arts de lo que podría ser el 2. Ok. Como que se obsesionó, ¿no? Con la idea de la segunda parte. Every pause button is a Roman numeral. Estoy de acuerdo. Ok. A ver si puedo ir a la oscuridad. No lo puedo. This way to the show floor. Ok. New features. Ok, new content. Bueno, mínimo por aquí sí me deja pasar. Ok. ¿A dónde estamos llegando? Ok, the Stanley Parable.
Here we are. Go on.
Okay.
Try out some of the new features.
No puedo brincar. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Ok, esto es nuevo. That's new. Here's your name in the game. Enjoy. Okay.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people.
Name.
So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game.
El camino hacia el botón
Isn't that
perfecto.
wonderful?
Demasiado grande, demasiado pequeño. A la perfección. Ok. ¿Qué más? Here's your name today. Ok. The bottom that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Ok, tengo curiosidad. ¿Neta dirá mi nombre? ¿O va a salir con alguna jalada? A ver.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. Of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role play as Jim to really simulate
Sí,
the full
obviamente había
experience
algún
of this
truco ahí.
feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory.
Jim.
If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name.
That's it.
Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a
Jim.
meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Perfecto. ¿Se la puedo volver a picar, Jim? Sí. Una vez más.
See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name, the button says. But no. Instead, oh, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away.
¡No! Bueno, lo logré picar una vez más. Ya es así como que el juego te obliga y te dice, ¿sabes qué? Continúa. Ok. Denme unos momentitos. Jim. Ta, 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 tam. Ok. Ta, 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 tam. Ok. Listo, Jim. Continuemos. Ok. Esta nueva mecánica no me gustó. ¿Qué más hay? Enjoy the new
Maybe I'll
feature.
only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. They would appreciate what I've created here.
Bueno, voy hacia donde dice de epílogo o sigo investigando. No, vamos a seguir investigando. No es. No, ok. Red is the new orange. Ok. The baby's all grown. El bebé ya creció. Ok. A ver, dice. El botón que dice el nombre de la persona que está jugando. Círculo de salto. Agujero infinito todo derecho. Ok. Ok. denme un momento. Ok. Seguimos. Círculo de salto, agujero infinito. Todo derecho hacia allá. De este lado que hay mercancía oficial, una puerta que no sé qué hay. Dejen, vuelvo. Ahí está. Ok, ahí está. Listo, volvemos. Stanley Parable 2, no screenshots. Dice: balde tranquilizador de Stanley Parable. Decoraciones de la oficina, agujero infinito. Agujero infinito se escucha bien.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
A ver. Que te mejores algún día o feliz 12avo cumpleaños. Que algún día te mejores.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
O sea, ignoró mi decisión. Ok. Vamos a ver quién ignora a quién a partir de ahora. Ok, me vengaré.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Ok, ¿hacia dónde estamos llegando? El círculo de salto. Free, new and plus easy achievement, ok. Un logro fácil de conseguir. Venga. Vamos a ver si sí es cierto. Free achievement. Got you right now. Pull the lever. Receive your new achievements. No more steps. It just works. Ok. Quiero ese logro.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident?
Yep.
Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement.
Okay.
Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
¿Qué pasa si no jalo la palanca? ¿Pasará algo? No, ¿verdad? A ver, me voy a quedar quieto. Pero sospecho sí que me va a obligar a jalar la palanca para supuestamente que me dé un logro. Bueno, vamos a intentarlo.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
O sea, me troleo. Listo. Tan sencillo como troleado. ¿Por acá no hay nada? No. Ok. Volvamos. Esto fue trampa. Bueno, ¿qué podía esperarme?
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Coleccionables. Yo quiero ir al agujero infinito hacia acá. ¿Qué dice? Ay, no sé si sea. Aquí está. El agujero infinito. Bien. ¿Cómo se construye un agujero infinito? Y just keep going. Ok, quiero ver eso. Ok.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game.
Okay.
This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. Okay. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Ok, esto me interesa. Vamos a ver si es cierto. Vamos a darle.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, Since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
No, vamos a seguir cayendo, gracias.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top.
No, está bien.
Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of
Quiero
things.
llegar al final del hoyo infinito. Incluso el sonido, ¿no?
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole.
Lo supuse.
Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole.
Estoy seguro que no.
I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
Listo.
Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
¿Cómo salimos de aquí? Esa es la pregunta.
Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the whole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move
¿Cuál
on.
botón?
I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Me quedo aquí, gracias. O si me va a obligar. No, creo que sí me va a obligar, ¿no? Ya me dijo, bueno, te voy a estar esperando. Eso significaría que ya no hay más texto. Me va a obligar a apretar G. Eso es lo interesante del juego. Que llega un momento donde te obliga, o sea, que se vuelve lineal en el aspecto de que te obliga a hacer ciertas cosas.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Oh, for heaven's sake. You see, I was right. The problem is that you like holes too much. A normal person would have said, yeah, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again, there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
Okay.
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really, gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite.
Exacto.
I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here?
Okay.
Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length.
Vamos a salir.
Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
Eso es lo que quería.
Well, there it is. Is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do.
El problema es que no puedo salir.
Button when you're ready to move on.
Ok. G. No me deja.
Is the,
me va a trolear ahora.
Working?
Sí, G no funciona.
You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
Ok, G no es.
Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for.
Okay,
it's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Ok. G no puedo apretar. No puedo brincar. Ok, música extraña. ¿Qué dice? Mostly Infinity Hall, ok. Algo está pasando, ¿no? Ok. Me estoy cayendo, ok. Y ahora. Ok, el hoyo infinito, ¿a dónde nos va a llevar? Adiós, mundo. Ok. Ok, seguiremos viendo el techo. F para cambiar tu perspectiva. Es la primera vez que nos podemos ver, creo. Ok, percepción. What?
My head's stronger. Now you're no longer using up the space of mine. My head's stronger. You're no longer using up the space of mine.
Está buenísimo. Cambia tu ser, J, ¿o qué? What? No sé cómo llegamos a esto, pero eso está chido.
Stanley?
¡Sí! ¡Sí! ¡No!
You're awake. It seems you had
Había
dozed
perritos.
off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley. Because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second.
No.
You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole.
Te
And I'm
odio,
looking
vos.
forward to
Te
all
odio,
of it.
narrador.
Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodle-pip.
I'll be back. Y ahora... ¿Otra vez? ¿En serio? Ok. Ok. Loading. The end is never the end. Ok, me regresaron.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
¿Saben cuál nueva cosa quiero probar? El hoyo infinito. ¿Dónde está? Aquí está. Infinite Hole. Find it end. Encuentra el final. Volveremos al círculo infinito. No sé si... No me deja. Me bloqueó. Ok. Sabía el juego lo que iba a hacer, definitivamente. Lo sabía el juego, ok. Ok, me ganaron ahí. Esto ya lo vimos.
Come now. You've already made your choice.
Sí, ya
It's
vi.
true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes.
Ok. Ese fue un buen comentario. Todos tenemos que superar nuestros errores. Ok. 344. usted está aquí. Ok, vamos a algún otro lado que no haya ido. Coleccionables, acá arriba. Ok. ¿Qué dice? You can find them, ok. Collect them all, ok. ¿Qué hay aquí?
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game.
Okay.
In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Ok. Hay momentos en que los juegos se vuelven raros y este es uno de ellos. Pero hay un coleccionable. En serio. Ok. Collect them all. Ok, los quiero todos. ¿Ya no puedo regresar a la oscuridad? No. Ok, ya entendí.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Agujero casi infinito, ahí ya fui. Ah, bueno, el círculo del brinco. Ah, ya me lo gasté todos.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
No, yo quería brincar de nuevo. Ok. ¿Qué más hay nuevo? Círculo infinito ya fui. Coleccionables ya fui. Ok, vamos para acá. ¿Qué me falta investigar? El botón. Ok, vamos primero aquí. Ah, aquí ya fui. Ok, vamos acá arriba.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true.
Really?
As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution.
It's the perfect
Come
solution.
On, give it a try.
Come on, give it a try. ¿Y si no lo agarro? ¿No hay una puerta o algo así? Hay una puerta. Vamos a ver. No me deja. ¿Me obligan a agarrar esta cosa? Bueno, vamos a agarrarlo.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Ok. Ahora tenemos una cubeta que nos acompañará.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Creo que ya investigué todo, ¿no? ¿Había una manera de escaparme? A ver. You hear Jim in the game. Okay. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Ok, vamos a ver si me deja de nuevo. El círculo ya me dijeron que no, pero este no me deja. Listo. Aparte no puedes correr, no puedes brincar. Ya no sé qué más puedo hacer. Ok. Aquí está. Escapamos al epílogo.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Ok. Ya estuvo muy divertido. La parte 2. Ya me quiero ir de aquí, gracias. Dice, agujero casi infinito. Logro gratis es para allá abajo. No, vámonos para allá. Dice, as mundial de la confederación. ¡No! Ok. Ok, tenemos una cubeta. No puedo irme para acá. ¿Qué me falta? Okay, oficialmente no sé hacia dónde ir. La única diferencia es que tengo la cubeta ahora conmigo. Esto, de repente pasaba eso, que se vuelve un poco desesperante porque ya literalmente no sabías qué hacer. Y como va bien lento, ok, vamos al círculo con la cubeta. ¿Me dejará hacer cosas? No, ok. No sé qué tengo que hacer. Vamos al nuevo a los coleccionables. Igual le tengo que regresar la cubeta esta. No, coleccionables no. Salida, sí. Gracias. Ok.
All right, have you seen everything you wanted
Sí,
to? Ready
adiós.
to move on now?
Sí. Muy divertido el juego. ¿Qué sigue? New mode, ok. ¿Qué dice? No screenshot. Okay.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features?
No.
Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but
Okay.
I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment.
Let's do it.
I'll arrange these new features together,
Okay.
and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready?
Sí.
Here it is. I give
ver.
you the Stanley Parable 2.
Ok.
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind.
Sí.
Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay,
Chafa.
yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game.
Okay.
I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Peacefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, this is the Stanley Parable 2.
Okay.
Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Go ahead, take a look. Ok. Ok. Ahora estoy empezando el juego 2. Dentro del Ultra.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Ok.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was
Le puso las
employee
cosas nuevas
number
que dijo.
427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, every month,
every
of every year.
Of every year.
And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Ok.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened.
The Stanley Parable
Something
Ultra
that would
Deluxe.
forever
Venga.
change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget.
Se supone
He
que
had
es el
been at his
2.
desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi.
Hi.
Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
¿Qué pasa si me cierro? Supongo que será el mismo final, no sé si cierro. Ok. Ahora es lo
All
mismo
of his co-workers
con
were gone.
huevos.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ok. Ok, eso es nuevo.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
No, ahora tengo... Ok. Esto nunca había pasado.
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office.
Sí.
Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket.
Continúo creyendo en la magia de esto. Okay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Nah, vamos a la derecha. Y...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Okay.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Okay. Volvimos.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless...
Ya tiene
What if the
lógica que
problem
esté
is that
ese.
you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Okay. What? ¿En serio?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or
this a
not the thing
bucket?
I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right?
This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket.
A bucket.
Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Ok. La atiné.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct.
Le volví a
It
atinar.
is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Ok.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Qué pena. Ok.
Item 4.
Saben que voy a
Is this
responder,
bucket?
¿cierto?
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
Let's just move on to the next one. Ok.
Is this a bucket?
Sí.
Correct. This is a bucket.
Ok. No esperaba esa respuesta.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
No.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Ok.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere.
En mi mano.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something.
Nada es
Unless,
un-
in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Yes.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort this out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago, I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Bucket.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry.
No, me lo va a
I'm going to
quitar.
erase all buckets from
No.
the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
No. Oh.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket.
Ok.
Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either.
A bucket.
Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets.
We are not
Yes,
buckets.
I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some
It's
clarity
delightful.
on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game.
Ok.
So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that.
Ok.
Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Ok, me gusta. Fue un final en el que descubrí que todo era un bucket. Ok. Estuvo bien.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself. That's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Ese no la cruzo.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ok. Aquí está.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
¿Me volverá a
This was
explicar lo
not the
del
correct way to the
bucket?
meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him. telling him that the employee
No lo sé.
lounge was simply the
Ojalá
place
no,
to be.
vamos a descubrirlo.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it no? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Nope.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
Me
Good.
pregunto
bucket.
si volverá
Now
a
ride the
pasar lo
lift all the
mismo
way
o
to the
no.
top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Okay.
No, stop. Look
Otra
there
vez.
on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
Sí, fue lo
Stanley,
mismo.
how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior
No,
up to
ya
this
tuvimos
point.
esta
Which, if that's
conversación.
true, well, my goodness. I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Bueno, vamos arriba. ¿Y si ahora le digo que sí, que todo es un bucket?
Now then, I'm going to run you through
No,
some test
te tendría que decir
scenarios,
que no, que
and
no,
you'll
ni
tell
que
me
nada es
whether or
un
not the
bucket.
thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not
Okay.
a bucket.
Entonces,
Okay, let's begin.
no hace rato le dije que... Ya sé. Ahora, nada es un bucket.
Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct.
Nada va a ser un bucket.
It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Ok.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. It is a 3D
Okay.
printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket?
No.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Ok.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket.
Okay.
To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
Ok.
Is this a bucket?
No.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Ok.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
No.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
But, gotcha.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait,
Okay.
when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
No.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out.
No.
I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket?
Creo
Mere
que no
moments
importa
ago I
que
could answer these
respondas, te va a
questions
llevar a
with
lo mismo.
confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Bucket.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this.
No.
I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
Sí, es como un callejón sin salida donde te lleva a lo
Is
mismo.
everything gone? Why did everything
Okay.
disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket?
What's
Every
everything
single
about it?
thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no
Ugh.
idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley,
Okay.
you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news.
Oh, this
We're
is
not
wonderful.
buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything. We'll put back all of the buckets, okay?
Okay.
And we'll know that it's all a bucket.
Bueno,
But if you
lo que
run into
sé
anyone
es
else,
hacia
maybe don't
dónde no
mention
tengo
that.
que ir porque no
Who
me deja
knows what
avanzar el
that
juego con,
information might do to a
con una
person.
cubeta.
All right, here we go.
Ok. Y volvemos a empezar. The end is never. Ok. No esperaba esto. Debo ser
All
sincero.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Wait for ending. Ok. No sé cómo llegué aquí.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
No. Yo quiero este final. Dog mode. Sí. Cada vez que pico se escucha un perro. Oh, Dios. Y no solo eso.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Ok. Ahora tengo una cubeta y todo cada vez que pique sonará un perro. Bien. Perfecto.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Ahora
But Stanley had felt
voy
the
a hacerle
bucket calling
caso
to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
a la
And here
cubeta.
it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was no, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Que me voy a ir todo derecho.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go
Okay.
somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go
Okay.
to the cargo lift.
Aquí parece ser que hay como otro. Miren esto. Oh. No, me atoré aquí. No.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of
Nunca había
himself and
visto
the
hacia ahí.
bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
No. Ah, ya no tengo al
All of his
perro
co-workers were gone.
y ya no
What could
está
it
la
mean?
cubeta.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting
Ya no
room.
sí está.
Perhaps he had simply missed a warmth spread
Aunque
through Stanley's arms. With the
Ya no
bucket in
tengo
his
lo de
arms
los
again,
perros,
he was
el
home.
ladrido del perro.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his...
Okay.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee
Vamos a
lounge was
intentarlo.
simply the place to be.
Ya no tener el
And
ladrido
here
de
it
los perros sí me
was.
está
Had the
decepcionando.
bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Ok.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Ok. Ok, listo. Miren lo que... Puedo ir hacia allá. Hay un coleccionable.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines.
Yes.
Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these
En
beautiful
serio me puso
figurines.
6 coleccionables en el juego. Ok, supongo que sí. Ahora, supongo que si me aviento me muero. Sí. Entonces, ay, aquí es donde me obliga a irme para acá. Ok. A ver hacia dónde llegamos. Ok. El juego de repente sorprende con sus escenarios. ¿Izquierda o derecha? Izquierda será, listo. Ok. Ok. Una grabadora.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense
Ok.
anything makes.
Mix.
The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up.
Pick it up.
No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling.
Ok.
And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense.
Makes sense.
There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so...
Different?
What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes.
Okay.
It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back.
Okay.
Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
No sé cómo llegamos a esto. Ok. Lo único que sé es que encontré un nuevo coleccionable.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Ya sé qué voy a hacer.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go
Chéquense
to
esto.
the meeting room. Perhaps Stanley picked up the bucket and
Ah,
smiled.
no me dejó regresar.
He'd
Me
never
iba a
be
encerrar
alone
con
again.
el...
Not truly alone. Not with the bucket around.
Ok. Ahora ya no sé qué hacer. Ya sé.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Voy a ir al
entered the
final
door on his left.
de abajo, pero con la cubeta. A ver si pasa algo diferente. Ok. Uy, esto es nuevo. How we can find it, exacto. Este dibujito es el de donde lo acabo de dar. We need more pranks. Oh, sí. Oh,
Oh,
sí.
Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't
Okay.
you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong.
Okay.
This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends, that your relationship is purely superficial and convenient, that your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I'd never. Go on, Stanley.
Go on.
Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Let him have it. Okay.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all.
Okay.
Here we go.
Sí.
There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
No esperaba menos. Ok, dejen reviso una cosa rápido.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm
Okay.
going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket.
It's also a
That
bucket.
way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
For this sticker.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside.
I see
and we
you
can get on with the
outside.
story about you and your bucket.
And your bucket. Ok. Esto del armario y la cubeta. Ok. Ok. Adiós, armario. Ahora tengo una cubeta con estampitas.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the
No.
boss's office.
Quiero ver qué pasa si acá abajo. El final raro, pero tengo la cubeta ahora.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
Ok.
That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held
cómo
the
estoy en
bucket
un
close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. "Oh, gracious," he exclaimed. "Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it." Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful.
Okay.
Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
No, yo era el bucket.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
No.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
Okay.
She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket
Su vale
of
de
comfort
bienestar y
and security,
seguridad.
and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself. My life kicks ass.
Claro.
And she backflipped all the way to
Lo de la
work.
cubeta se me hace demasiado... ¿Saben? Ok. Una vez más. Y creo que ya sacamos bastantes finales en este juego, en estos momentos que tuvimos para jugar Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Yo creo que por el momento lo voy a dejar aquí. Nada más voy a cerrar la puerta.
But Stanley simply couldn't
Y con
handle the
este
pressure.
final con el
What
que
if he had to make a
empezamos,
decision? What if a
he
crucial outcome fell under his
decidido terminar el
responsibility?
día de hoy.
He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly.
Okay.
The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me.
Sí.
Nothing
Con esto
will
vamos a
break
terminar
me.
el
In
stream
here
del
I
día
can
de
be
hoy,
happy
viajeros.
forever. I will be happy.
I will be happy.
Stanley waited.
Stanley
Hours
waited.
passed, then days.
Hours passed.
Had years gone by? He no
Okay.
longer had the ability to tell.
To tell.
But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come.
The answers.
Eventually, someday,
lo mismo, nada
they would
diferente.
arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He
Okay.
will be spoken to. He will be told what to do.
He will
Now
be
it's
told what
just
to
a
do.
little bit closer.
Just a little bit closer.
Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Here it comes. Ok. Con esto, con este final, viajeros, estoy terminando el día de hoy. Espero que les haya gustado estos primeros pasos de The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. El juego que salió el día de hoy y como podemos ver tiene muchos finales, muchas alternativas. Y pues nada. Déjenme en los comentarios si ustedes lo jugaron, si tuvieron finales diferentes o incluso si consiguieron todos los logros del juego. Viajeros, yo soy Tommy, espero que les haya gustado este gameplay. Y nosotros ya nos seguiremos viendo en un nuevo en vivo o en un nuevo video aquí en el canal de Navegando en Videojuegos. Les mando un fuerte abrazo, cuídense mucho y nos vemos hasta la próxima. Adiós.